So here I have quite a few photos from a few different digital cameras, and yeah, I just wanted to show you how different presets look best in different photos, and how easy it is to achieve really interesting effects. We have this photo of raindrops on a foggy day, and we open my presets. And what I like to do is just to go through them and see if anything already looks good. See, I think that's really nice. It's still the same colors. I quite like the browns and the greens here. It really looks like film, and I think that's something that I'm very happy that you can achieve so easily. You can see this is the before and this is the after, which I think looks really good right away. Let's have a look at some other photos. Here, let's take something that's really underexposed. So obviously when it comes to presets, they will work very differently on different photos, depending on the colors in the photos, the white balance that they were shot with, the contrast and exposure, and I think that's the beauty of it. You know, those presets will not look the same on different photos. So here on a more underexposed photo, something like dark film will be too dark. You can still apply it and pull back. Let's do that. Let's apply a dark film. First thing that you can do if you're like, oh, that's too much, everything disappears, is just apply a smaller amount of the preset. Like at 60, you already start seeing some of the details. 27, you know, it's much less. But that's probably not what I would do. I would probably keep it at 100%, and I would try to play around with exposure, contrast, highlights. Let's start with just these basic adjustments. We could try to put the exposure up, but that way we will blow out the highlights, and we're still not really getting that much of the shadows. So let's put that back for now to where it was. Contrast, we can decrease the contrast a little bit. Highlights, no, doesn't really change enough. Now we have shadows. We can see we can pull the shadows up the other way, and you can see a lot more details come out. So that's something different to what it was before. Before, the shadows were like here, so you couldn't really see much. Now you can see a lot more of the details. But you could also simply reset this and try to apply a different preset that might lean into the style of this photo a little bit more. I'd say in this case, for example, faded plus leak, is quite an interesting one because you can see the shadows a little bit more. Deja vu as well. You can kind of see the building a little bit more, and you could apply it and still pull the shadows out a little bit more, or go into the general curve and play around with it a little bit more. So that just makes it a little bit more contrasting, but you still see a lot of the shadows. So especially photos that are quite a bit over or underexposed, you will need to rebalance if you want all the elements of the photo to be seen. I think this is cool too. Just really dark forest. You just end up not seeing the house there anymore. Okay, let's try something else. So we have this photo, which is like a beautiful foggy scene, and I think it could do with a lot more grain and a lot more of that kind of ethereal feel. We can try different presets, like for example this one makes it look kind of strange, or we can just lean into the colors that are there, and that lightly just works really well in the case of this photo, and I probably wouldn't really adjust it much. Here you have some dried grass, and I think it's good, but the colors look a little bit flat to me. I think, yeah, something like this one, you know, makes it so much more dramatic. I would probably pull the highlights down even more so you could see the background a lot more. Maybe shadows a little bit more up. You know, you can always play a little bit around a little bit with white balance. This is already so much more of a winter scene. See a little bit more green, a little bit more magenta, a little bit more yellow. It's about making subtle changes a lot of the time when it comes to this kind of stuff. Or we could just go for Blue Spirit, which is a lot more of that kind of fantasy blue, lilac essentially. We could try Blue Spirit plus Leek, which is the same, but it's got a really nice light leek. And if you wanted to change the color of that leek, you could go into the masking and go into color and change the color a little bit to what suits your photo the most. I enjoy them all. Sometimes it's really hard to choose. What I like to do is export a few versions and then I import them into my phone, and then I see what they look like on a smaller screen. Okay, let's go back. Okay, here we have a few pictures taken with my Sony a7 IV. This kind of water scene from an Italian lake. Yeah, it's a good photo, but to me it just lacks that kind of nostalgic feel. So dark film, beautiful already. Again, I'd probably try to balance it out a little bit, but let's see whether spectral works better in this case. And there we go. I would say that works better because you get to see more of the greens. I think the boat is still a little bit too dark, so let's go into edit. Let's pull the shadows a little bit up, highlights down, grain a bit down in this case, I'd say, because it comes out a little bit grey. Can try with curves. See, this brings us a lot more color in, but then it's a balance because I feel like that darkness also is quite nice. Maybe here a little bit. Yeah, so before, after. We're losing the clouds a little bit. You know, we could pull the highlights down. We can adjust the white balance a little bit. Now it's kind of more blue-green rather than yellow-green, I think. Yeah, I'll probably leave it like that. Maybe we try with blacks. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so this is where we're gonna stop today, and next time I might show you the other stuff that I'll do, so sort of apply frames, more dust, maybe additional light leaks. I'll usually do that in Photoshop. And in the future I'll also dive into a little bit more video editing.